Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Asian Report. We'll be looking at the ASX plus some of the other Asian indices and also some stocks as well. So with the ASX200 here, we're calling this wave 4 in play here, and we're looking at a 5-wave sequence to the upside here. I have to say though, and I've mentioned it before, is that the move up here is basically in 3 waves up here. So it's possible that this wave 4 is not complete, so we do need to be a little bit mindful of any downside here in terms of an A wave coming down to here, a B wave over to here, and a C wave moving down here. Okay, but we don't have to worry about that just yet because the market, we'll just sort of be mindful of that in case we get a sharper move down than expected. The reason for this particular pattern that we're looking at here is dominated by the mining sector, the resources, and within that we first sort of picked that up with one of the biggest iron ore stocks, which was VALE, this is traded on the New York desk, so we've got a wave 4 here. So it's quite easy to see wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then moving in up through here further. It's going to be at 15. It's going to spend some time here. We're actually long in this stock from a good position lower here, but there's still more to go into this. So obviously this coincides with RIO, so we can have a look at that. So with RIO here, very much like BHP actually, we're tracking 5 waves up, so this will move up in terms of basically wave 1 here, wave 2 here, wave 3 up into 90, a correction here, and then moving up higher from that point there. So it's clearly taken out the previous tops here, and that's pretty much what the ASX is doing in its own way as well. It hasn't moved past those tops yet, but anyway, this has still got further to go. We're also long in this as well, but with the ASX200 here, the banks are also pulling on this and hasn't taken out these highs here yet, but we figured that there's going to be a struggle here at this high, this and this here, so we're pretty much getting that now. It is a little bit complicated in here, so we will need a little bit of strategy in here, but I just want to bring over BHP. Obviously this has got a crude element in it as well, so from here looking at this as wave 1 as we spoke last time, wave 2, and then 5 waves up for the 3rd wave here into the 35 area here. So I can see we've got 1 and 2 in here. I thought we'd be getting 3 and 4 in here, but it's still pushing a little bit higher in the 3rd wave. But we can expect a correctional pattern at the 35 here, the next number. Probably not, all the corrections have been really small, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But we're going to hold through this wave 4 and look to buy. If it has a good pullback, we'll look to buy back into it again, and build that current long position, and we can pretty much look higher at 38 from that point, or maybe even higher. So this has still got further to go. This is the main sort of driver here, so it's not unreasonable to view this particular trend in the same same vein as well, and look up higher at 6,500 here. But our first tasks are getting through these old highs here, and it also depends on how the banking sector is playing out as well, because when the banking sector been at current lows, and when they pushed up in line with the resource sector, we got this nice 3rd wave here. So those banks are they're not trending at the moment. We could have a look at those, but we'll do that next time. I don't have a clear pathway on those. We might see them bounce off their current lows at the moment, but it's not confirmed yet. So let's just drill into this here on the 4-hour chart here. bit of a nutshell here. So kind of looking at like this with the wave 4 here, wave 1 and 2, then 1 and 2 and 3, and looking for wave 4. Wave 4 can pull back to the 38.2% retracement level here. So it's okay for it to do that. If it gets out of control and moves back, below here, then we need to reassess this whole trend to the upside and look at it in a slightly different vein in terms of that wave B sitting on top here. But otherwise, we're looking to the upside. So the normal thing here is that in terms of trading this in a trend, we would look at the top here, and we can look at, this is just a good starting point in looking at which way to go with this, because if we're going to go long, then we need to take out the top of wave 3 here. Of course, we can bring it down to a couple of these lows here, so we can go basically long above there, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. And also too, if we look at this low here, we can go short here. But going short here may get us into some problems here, unless this is really going to tank at this stage and move down further. So the upside potential is probably more on the cards, and even if it does move down through here, then we need to look for buying opportunities too at this particular point here, and then also adding positions back onto the 6-1 here as well. As I mentioned, this particular little pattern in here is a little bit complicated, and I'm calling that little high here as the wave 3 high, even though that it doesn't really pan out very well here in terms of five waves finishing nicely. So let's just go in and have a look. I don't know if we're working on the hourly chart or 2-hour chart, doesn't matter. So it's possible at this stage here to have this wave 4 completed here. So as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. But I don't think that we should, anything can happen in here. I don't have a lot of confidence in this particular correction. It was just the best fit. So what we need to do is, we've got a trend line through here, so this is 6,100, so a breach of that trend line should trigger interest, and if we get a tested support on top of 30 here, 6,130, then that's the long position. So I've just put it on top of this one here, but it needs to be tested support, so in that case it would need to come up and it would do its little pattern here in one way or another and then move up from that point. So looking for those highs after retesting the 30 there would be the catalyst for the upside. So if it's going to go to the upside, that's the price point to work with, okay? If it's going to move to the downside, then we need to look at it coming back into the into this space here, and all of this is a little bit tricky to work out. When we look at it on the actual physical market, the cash market, on a 15-minute chart, this is what it looks like here. So obviously this is the top here, and we can look at this as wave 1 and 2 here, and 3 here, and 4 here, and 5 here. So we can get a 5-wave sequence here. This is also, from this height, this is also a 5-wave sequence in here as well. And this is also a 5-wave sequence in here as well. So the trouble is that we can't call it 1. We could do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, but the trouble with calling this 4, it overlaps wave 1 here. So it's not that it's the end of the world, and we could still call it that, but we could also call it an A and a B and a C for the A wave, which I've done, and then up for a B wave, pulling back up to supply level, 61.8%, whatever, and then the C wave coming down. So an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. But I don't know if that's correct. I mean, if this low gets taken out here, then we'll have to call all of this just the A wave here. So I've called it, an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, in line with this, the A, the B, and the C here. So it can move up from here. I don't have a 5-wave sequence from here just yet. It could though, because we've got 1 and 2 here, and 3 here, and 4 here. and a bit more for the 4 to play out here as an A and a B and a C, and then move up. But as it stands at the moment, it's corrective. It's an A and a B and a C wave, so it's a corrective wave up. So just keep an eye on that. If it drops down lower from here, if it drops down past this low here, then you know that the move up is corrective. And in fact, what you can do is move that up onto that low there, because any breach of that would be corrective at that stage. So yeah, look, I just don't have a lot of confidence in this, so that means that we just need to be a bit more careful on things. And yeah, I mean, the potential to the upside is good, because all of this here, there's other ways to count this as well. There's probably it's a bit strange, but we can put wave 5 over here with wave 3 here, and also have this as an A wave here, a B wave over here, and then those 5 waves that I've just mentioned in here, in terms of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for the whole C wave here. So it can be counted like this here as well. I'm just not clear on it, that's all. So this is why we need strategy. We know that we're working with 6,100. That's our price point here. We can see that this is this market stalling in this price range here, because we know that these are the old highs as well. So we just really need to be patient and look for the breakout here. That would be the game. Yeah. The other markets around the paddock are the Nikkei here. As we spoke last time, I haven't pulled this structure apart, but I can also see when we were down here that we still needed 5 waves to the upside here. So that's not finished yet either. So I can see we've got 1 and 2 in here. Don't need that. So we've got 1 and 2 in here. This is all the third wave. Probably a little fourth in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, the fourth hasn't even started yet. So that will be... So it's still got... What will happen is there'll be the arrival, some sort of little reaction back down to here somewhere, and then the push up into this space here. So this is still trending up in this space here for the Nikkei. And the Hang Seng, this one's also, I haven't pondered it that much. I know most of us don't trade it, but some folks like to keep a bit of an eye on it. I just haven't had the time to really sort of soak into it, but I know there's a few things that we can look at here. I mean, the move up from this particular low here, as this low here moving up through here, is corrective. It's in 3 waves. There's an A and a B and a C. So if this is corrective, then it makes this corrective, which is obvious because it's got overlapping wave structures in it. And then wave C here. So this, even though it's an impulse wave up here, it's corrective as part of this structure here as an A and a B and a C here. So the next best fit for this, I think, is wave A here, then an A and a B, and then an A and a B and a C here for this. We may still get a D wave and an E wave here, and so on. Yeah, it's possible that it can come down in 5 waves from here, but we'd need to see that. At this stage here, we can see we've got 5 waves down to here. We've got a retracement back here. We've got basically a switch set up on the short side here. It may only get you to this point here, the 61.8%, as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave down to here. So you need to be a little bit mindful of that. So don't overtrade with this. And it's not even a really good trade, in fact. It's just, but it is a switch trade, and that's fine. So yeah, we need to see how this goes. Yeah, I mean, of course, the other side with all this too, if it's going to turn bullish within all of this, then we need to take out that top here on the long side, but that's not going to be for a little while just yet. And the Chinese market, we were looking at this here. Look at it in pretty much the same way as the Hang Seng as well, in terms of actually needing to come down through here. So yeah, so wave 3 here. It's possible to have wave 4 here and wave 5 over here, as I mentioned before, and this can be wave 1 up here. Then we'll get an A and a B and a C for wave 2. But we have our long strategy in place here, but we don't have the setup for it yet. So we're still waiting to see. But on the downside here as well, you can also look at, if you're playing this market, then if it moves down through here, which it's doing now, then it's likely to come back and retest there. And then in that case, you would grab your reference point low here, and if the market moved back down on the second time through here, then you know that it's been rejected here and the sellers are in control, and it will push, it'll trigger your position. So that's what you need to do on the short side there. And if that's the case, then we'll be looking at 11,500 from here. If this moves all the way down here, and the Hang Seng moves down through here as well, then it's going to place pressure back on the Australian market. So this wave 4 here, we were looking at it being, coming down to this area here, but it could put even more pressure on it and bring it down here even further as well. So that's why the short trade here is important to look at as well. The Nifty here, we were looking for a top to come into play here as well. So that's turning well now. And it's also at the 800 as well. We always consider 8 the profit-taking number. So that's still in the process for the downside here as well. And this would just be the first little leg of this particular correction. The support won't come in until we get down to this point down here. All right, I'll just leave it at that. All righty, cheers.